Hey, looking at events that have happened in the past, that are happening in the present, and that are making history, it's another Historic. 19th to the 22nd of May in Camberwell, Grace Life Church are hosting The Faithful Preacher. It's a conference on expository preaching. It'll be well worth looking into if you are a preacher, if you're looking to learn, if you're considering preaching. Details are below. From the 18th of March for 5 weeks, 2 to 3 p.m. on Thursdays, Eric Ortlund, who teaches at Oak Hill College, is giving a 5-week course on the book of Job. His book, Piercing Leviathan, God's Defeat of Evil in the Book of Job, is well respected in the Silver series, the New Testament studies on biblical theology, and he is going to be teaching on things we can learn from that extraordinary book in which we see that lesson which is so familiar to believers. When is God going to act, and how is he going to act? And as every believer reads through that book and asks, when's God going to do something? And how the gospel answers that question. Look into it. This is a course that you can do online. Details are below. We've had some great times giving people tours and walks. I tell you what, we had a real highlight. I had the great privilege of taking a group from an inner city London church the other day through the British Museum, and it was precious. There were old, young, all kinds of different nationalities, different places in life, and these people are all part of a little church on the Isle of Dogs, where their pastor, Ed Dix, was just among them, loving them, caring for them. And it was a precious and rare thing to see a local church in inner city London made up of all kinds of people being held together in the bond of peace under the gospel, and to take them through the incredible gospel stories in London. It was a very special time. I've taken many other people on tours, but that was a really particularly special time to see a picture of the local church in London. Also, last week, the interview that I gave for The Way UK came out, and it's been seen by tens of thousands of people, which is a great privilege for me. And I had a great time. Those guys are doing an unusual work. They have over 440,000 followers on Instagram, and they're very gently, carefully, wisely introducing questions to do with the gospel and Christianity to many young people. If you'd like to see that, it's also on YouTube. You can watch it. We'll put the link below. February is an extraordinary month for church history in London, and we had to choose which story we're going to feature on our On This Day video, and the one we came down on was the extraordinary moment, the last letter that John Wesley ever wrote on record, which was to William Wilberforce. And there was Wesley, and he was dying. It was the 24th of February, and he wrote that letter to Wilberforce. So Wilberforce, you're going to have a fight against the slave trade. If God's not with you, you have no chance. But if he is, nothing can stop you. He wrote that letter, and then he died a week later. And Wilberforce took up the fight. And of course, the world was completely changed because one man, it's funny, Wesley was like 5'1", 5'2", something like this. Wilberforce also, little guy. What difference can they make? Jesus says, you want to change the world? You want to bear fruit? Here's the trick. Abide in me. Abide in me. Everything we know about William Wilberforce was he was constantly humming a hymn of praise. He was always worshipping. So look up that little video if you haven't already seen it. It's on our Instagram platforms and other social media platforms. Wilberforce, the biographies by John Pollock are outstanding. Fred Sanders' book on John Wesley's thought is rich. And if you want to learn more about Wilberforce, here's a treat for you. His spiritual diaries, like his quiet time journals, were published a couple of years ago, edited by our dear friend Michael McMullen, who was a guest on this podcast a few years ago. They're a treasure trove. Highly recommended. Well, that's all for this month. Remember, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever.